Hi everyone, Marcus here from the Calcio FC pod. Just wanted to come on quickly today to discuss Dusan Vlahovic. He picked up a calf injury against Genoa while warming up for the game to come back on. This comes as he's been rehabilitating his injury he picked up in November. He was out for 3 months. He came back before the international break, played again against the Swallow, but other than that he hasn't been healthy. This looks for a turning point for Juventus in their season. They look to qualify for the Champions League as they're pushing. They currently sit 5th. They got 2 points on Como over the weekend due to their win over Genoa and Como drawing to Udinese. As they played a strong win without him, but they probably had a weak second half where maybe if he comes on he changes that. So instead of Ardak Milik, he's probably more involved on the ball. He can get them forward more. Maybe even see him score another goal because they became very passive, which saw him give up the penalty in that game, which Di Gregorio saved, which was great for him. And his performance has been struggling. And then obviously Genoa had plenty of other chances that they could have scored. Thankfully, Juventus managed to keep him out, which is also a sign of a good team where you can defend your goal, you can score early, which Juventus did. They scored both their goals in the first 15 minutes, and then you can sit back, let the game come to you. Even at home against a weaker team, it's very good positive signs, which especially coming off very important for Juventus. They play the next 3 games that are important ones. They play Atalanta away this weekend, which will be a tough game. Then they host Bologna at home, and then the week after they travel to the San Siro to play Milan. These will be 3 hard games for you as a fully fit side. And now you're lucky not going to have Vlahovic. You probably would have started all these games, considering Jonathan David's been poor this season. Openda might not ever play for Juventus again in the way it's looking at. Milik is not up to the pace. He's not fit enough. He's coming back after 18 months out. He's probably not versatile enough to play for Spalletti. It's an incredible blow for Juventus not having Vlahovic for the next 3 weeks, which is due to this calf injury. They could drop points in all these games now if you look at it. Atalanta away, firstly, is no easy game. They'll be looking for any sort of points they can pick up any chance they get. They won this. They closed the gap this weekend for a win. They're now only 1 point behind the Roma. If they win this game against Juventus, that puts them 1 point behind Juventus, assuming Roma picks up all 3 points. They would say 7th. It's no guarantee that Como will win either. They play Inter this weekend. So that would then probably put them 2 points off 4th for a Champions League place, which would be incredible for them considering you fired your coach in the middle of the season. You struggled this year, and you probably sold your best player in January, Ademola Lookman. And before that, you sold your best player in the summer, Matteo Retegui, and didn't properly replace him. Of course, they have Gianluca Scamacca, who came back from injury, but he hasn't been. No one expected him to be enough. I mean, he hasn't been Retegui level. He's been good enough at that level, but he's not been Retegui level where you can say he's an out-and-out replacement. So if they can do so, which I think they can, will be incredible for them because they've probably been on form out of this European spots, the best of the 4 teams. This is Juventus. Will they beat Atalanta away without Vlahovic? It's questionable. They can do it. They've shown at times this season that they are good enough to do it, but there seems to be 2 versions of Juventus. It will all depend on how they're attacking for Juventus play in Conte, which will likely be Conte, Sal, McKennie, and Yildiz. Obviously, you could have Bolga come in, but that's probably not going to happen from the first minute. If they can continue to supply whichever striker plays, which I'll get into in a moment, then they can win this game. Probably the same for Bologna. But the hard one is travelling to Milan. You'd be happy with a point from that game, considering that Milan have been obviously Juventus is only in Serie A now, but they've played the Champions League already this season. The players have tired. We've picked up a few injuries. You'd take a point at the San Siro, considering how good they've been and how they're challenging for the title in air quotes, because they've probably fallen out of the race now, and they probably will fall out of the race by that point. Juventus should still hold on to the top 4. I say should because nothing's ever guaranteed with Juventus. If they can disappoint you, they will. Look, it'll probably be the same as it's been since November without Vlahovic. David will start. Openda might come off the bench, but it'll probably be Milik. Which David can work if you supply him well, which is my point from before. Do I think we can win all 3 of these games without Vlahovic? Probably not. We could drop 1 easily. We could even drop 2, which I want to get into, which would affect the European race. Because say Juventus only picks up 5 points in these games. That probably puts them behind Atalanta. Roma have been a bit in and out, and they have some tough games coming up. So, not definitively you put them ahead. You wouldn't put them ahead definitively. Como will likely lose this weekend because they play Inter. And then they have, and after Inter, Como have, I think, 2 easier games. Oh, well, they have, after Inter, they have Sassuolo and they have Genoa, which are 2 easier games. You don't want to be playing relegation teams this time of the year. They're going to be fighting more hard, more. Sassuolo, Genoa, the 2 league games that are, they're mid-table teams that don't have much to fight for, but they're obviously not going to be easy to beat. But you should expect them to they expect them to win both those games, even with the Coppa Italia semi-final in between that. If they want to be a serious team and they want to qualify for Champions League, they need to win those games. Juventus, on the other hand, will probably drop points. Yeah, I can't see them winning all 3 from here. I can't see winning all those 3 of those games. Roma, they're going to be without Gianluca Mancini, which means Gilardi will probably come in to replace him. The defense will probably, if the defense is weakened, it won't bode well for the rest of the team. That's been their strength this season, which has been counterintuitive of a Gasperini side, where they've more often been better in attack. They've been better in defense this season, so if that's hurt, and they're already in bad form since they drew that 3-4 game with Juventus. You can see it dropping out. You can see him dropping to 7th and maybe even playing Conference League next year, the way Atalanta are playing. I can only see him going up. I can't see Atalanta going down. Palladino's come in. He's been an excellent coach. He should get a bigger job. Probably national team is probably too big for him. But if Conte leaves Napoli and you look at him this summer, maybe you go get him. Obviously, there's other options that would be ahead of him, which are all we'll know in time. But Italiano, Maresca, you don't know. So yeah, but would you take the risk on De Rossi, or would you go get Palladino? You'd go get Palladino. He's proven to be better. But that's all hypothetical. That's not to get too deep into things. Look, I think now, who will finish top 4? Now it makes everything a whole lot very uncertain. I can see it staying the way it is now, where it's Como, Juve, Roma, Atalanta, that order. Or I can see Atalanta flipping it. It becomes Atalanta, Como, Juve, Roma, or even now you can see Como doing it, which I wasn't fathomable a few weeks ago, but you think they can hold on. They don't have any big games other than Inter and Napoli, which, if you take out your maximum points from the rest of that, should be enough for them to go all the way and get 4th place, which would be a huge achievement for them, and maybe will push the rest of Serie A to invest in young players, sign young players, and for owners to invest more, which has been problems for a lot of teams, even to the teams here. Juventus, Agnelli and Elkman haven't invested as much as they probably should have in the past. Roma with the Froken group, maybe they look like they're going to invest more this summer, but maybe it hasn't been enough in the past, which is why you're here, and you're not fighting with Napoli and Inter to go challenge for the title. So it will be very interesting to see how the rest of the season shapes up. But I think Como can now hold on if you don't have Vlahovic. But you never know. Juventus could flip their form. They can win all 3 of the games. It wouldn't surprise me happening, but it's not easy to do. Then we look and say Juventus get the Champions League, and then you say, oh, well, they deserved it. That would probably earn Sleddy a contract extension with Juventus for next season. And then maybe you try and build a team that can fight for a Scudetto, or at least make a deep run in the Champions League and solidify Champions League again next season. But it just depends if Cambiaso is sold.